when for me, right, when it comes to my injury, and all the things that I dealt with, one of the most difficult, undoubtedly, was for sure when I had to come back. I started playing again. I believe it was about 10 weeks in to recovery, and I had to deal with wearing a special brace on my arm, plastic brace that we then had to wrap in foam and cover in tape. So it looked like my arm was basically covered by a club, just to make sure that all the precautions, everything that I needed to do in order to play was taken. And, that was very, very interesting having this large thing attached to my arm that was basically, I guess, keeping me safe, but still made me uncomfortable. And that's kind of just yet another thing that I had to process and think through and get past as I was returning to play and getting ready to be back on the court and play the game that I love again. But from here, we're going to shift into this next episode of Uncontainable by me, Lou Hutchinson, featuring my good friend, former track star at the University of Rhode Island, Hasna Badji. Welcome to Uncontainable by me, Lou Hutchinson. And today, I have somebody that for me has had a very, very large impact in my life. My friend Hasna Badji here, former track and field athlete at the University of Rhode Island. Hasna for me is, I have my older sister Naya. Hasna is like a second sister for me. The type of connection and friendship that we've built, and just a super amazing person. And I'm just super excited to get into your story today, Hasna. How are you?
I'm doing good, pretty good. Living life, back in school. Well, about to be back at school in a little bit, but yeah, I'm just chilling, really.
That's good to hear. So as we get into it a little bit today, of course I know a little bit of your story, even going back into high school a little bit. Uh, Although we didn't meet until my freshman year of college, right? Can you get into that a little bit? One, who you are, but two, who you were as just a track athlete, and on top of that, what track meant to you and what it still means to you to this day.
Mm. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm someone who has always been involved in sports from the age of 3. I don't really know anything else aside from sports. Granted, yes, I've been to school. I've got my business degree. I'm doing more sports business and whatnot, but I've always been consumed by sports. It's always consumed my life. So it's like I can't live my life without sports. Even if I'm not in the sport, I have to be involved in it some way or another. Um, Starting back in high school, I started track in middle school and then kind of like led into high school. It wasn't until my junior year that I was like, oh, this is becoming pretty serious for me. Becoming really good in my sport, better than I thought I was gonna be. Come senior year, it was like school and track, and that was it. Like, yeah, I had my friends, but never went to house parties. That wasn't a thing for me. I didn't get into any fun social extracurriculars until college. So for me, it was really just track school. And my senior year, especially, that's when, I got really good. I was placing at states. I won states for my event, specifically 300-meter hurdles. Qualified for New England's, went to New England's, placed there too. Supposed to go to nationals, didn't happen. That was kind of up to my coach. So I didn't really have a say in that. Yeah, so at that point, I was just completely immersed in track. I'm thinking I'm gonna go D1. I'm gonna do great things. I can't wait to hit these times and hit these marks and whatnot. I was so excited after coming out of high school. I was at such a peak in my career, and then when it came to going to college, mm, I knew that I wanted to go to a D1 school. I know I deserved to go to a D1 school, but I hadn't heard from any D1 school whatsoever, especially URI, the one that's in my state. and there was actually a rumor, I don't know how true it actually was, but there's a rumor that if you placed, first at stage or one for your event, that URI would offer you a spot on the team. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. I just won my event. I won by over a second and a half, from the girl in second. Why hasn't URI reached out to me? I'm placed at New England. I hit the national qualifying mark to go to nationals, but I just, didn't end up going. So like, why haven't I heard from them? Finally reached out, and they're like, yeah, you're on the team. So it wasn't like a formal introduction. They never really had me go visit, the athletic facility. So it was kind of just like, oh yeah, we heard about you. Just come on. It was kind of like very formal. I feel like that kind of paved the way for the rest of my collegiate career because it did not go the way I wanted at all. I was already dealing with shin splints starting my sophomore year in high school, and so I was about my senior year. It was so bad. Got to college. I thought they would be able to help me more because you have the athletic training facility that can help you with almost any injury that you have. And it was just like, "Oh, we can't really do much. Just ice it. Just ice it. Just ice it." All my freshman year, I was just icing it. And I'm like, "I can only do so much icing, and it still hurts. Like, you're not really helping me at all." Sophomore year came, it was still, same momentum. It was going pretty good. Outdoor was coming up, still dealing with my shin splints. Um, and, in a way, getting better care for them, finally them starting stim treatment on it's really just stim, ice, maybe some like exercises, doing with helping my ankles, my knees, all the joints to help, the muscles and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And then COVID hit. And I remember I was so excited for that outdoor season. I remember my coach saying, you know, things are looking really good. I'm excited for you this season, yada, yada, yada. Cause actually my freshman year outdoor season, I only competed in 3 meets, and then at the 3rd meet actually is when I got injured doing hurdles at UConn. So that my season was completely done. I was out of it. I couldn't even come back. Was not able to get that season back, unfortunately, due to whatever NCAA rules. So kind of screwed me over. But so yeah, this is my first actual outdoor season. I'm excited. Let's do it. Yada yada yada. COVID hit. Obviously didn't have that season and got the season back. Didn't really have an indoor season, got that season back from, during my junior year. But throughout the whole time, still dealing with shin splints. It was never going away. At this point, I'm like, it's chronic. I've been to, at this point, how many physical therapists aside
Right.
from, who we have in the training room? I had, access to 2 of our trainers who worked in track specifically. And got to the point where I had to go to outside people. I had to go to a chiropractor. The chiropractor is the one who actually helped me the most. But aside from that, I've had to do dry needling. I'm pretty sure I've had pretty significant stress factors, but I never took an X-ray, which I think was a big problem too. But I feel like my injuries definitely also kept me back. But I also feel like in a way, my coaches kind of almost use that to not help me reach my full potential, if that makes sense. It's like, yeah, you're injured, we want you to take care of that, blah, 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 but then you don't really help me in any other way. And even when I am injured, you don't check on me, which is a huge problem also. I mean, my coaches don't really care about me. That's how I feel and what I'm thinking. So it was just, yeah.
So,
I just went on a whole
I mean,
tangent right there.
yeah, that's a nice little overall kind of overscope. We're gonna kind of go through all of that and break everything down. Um, Going back all the way to high school, right? You talked about your successes in high school, kind of, especially in your state, reaching the top of that mountain, going and winning states, going and looking for certain individual opportunities, and in some cases, possibly getting some of the looks you want, but overall, right, being in a spot where you felt like you should have got more than you deserve. So from there, right, when you went and one, what was your recruiting kind of like? And two, just like a little bit more in depth. And two, right, when you got to Rhode Island, kind of knowing what the situation was, or when you got to URI rather, knowing what the situation was, what, you know, what was your mindset? How did that affect you mentally? Because I know for me, if I'm in that type of situation, I might have a mindset like, okay, I have something to prove, or, this is a situation where I feel like I'm being put in a situation to fail off rip. So what were you kind of thinking once you got there?
Yeah. So I'll start with the recruiting process from high school. I was doing it all myself. I did not have anyone to help me. My parents didn't know anything. So, like, I was doing all the research myself. I found out about NCSA, made my profile on there. I don't know if that actually helped me or not. And I just remember, really, for myself, I was looking at schools in like New England to see how I compared to their current athletes. I was doing a lot of research. I remember looking at Southern Connecticut, Central Connecticut, even Eastern Connecticut. But I was like, no. Of course, looked at URI. I was comparing myself to a lot of the girls on the team at URI, a lot of the girls who, were my teammates when I did join, even UMass Amherst. But I knew I wanted to go D1, so I was trying to target D1 schools. I even looked at New Haven, and I was like, okay, New Haven, I would be great at New Haven. They're D2. I'll get automatic scholarship. But I'm like, I know I deserve to be somewhere better. I know I want to be D1. I know I deserve to be D1. I mean, I can't just win states, place in nationals, and qualify. Place in New England's and qualify for nationals and not go D1. I was like, there's no way. I like was really blazing a trail for myself. In that way. And then I remember states came, New England's came, still have not heard from anyone. I think the only letter I got was from Brandeis University, D3, but D3 schools don't give you scholarship money. So I'm like, that's not gonna help me anyway. Great business school, but not what I wanted for, the full picture. But I remember they sent me a letter to my school. So I found out during practice, like, oh, Brandeis wants me. That's cool. But how are they gonna help me? And so I was like, okay, I just put that aside. And then yeah, states happened, New England's happened. I remember watching, the girl who I beat at New England's run nationals. And I think it was shortly after that. I'm like, you know what? I need like I my school process was very late. I didn't know what school I was going to until July. It was very, very late of 2018. And I remember it was around this time, I think before I even had orientation at URI, I emailed both the URI coach and the UMass head coach. So at that point, I applied to both schools. I'm banking on either of these two schools because they're both in the same conference, both D1 and everything. I'm going to go to either one of them. UMass never got back to me. URI did. And I remember it was my assistant coach who was the one who emailed me back. All he said was, "What's your shoe size?" That's all he said. And I remember I'm like,
Wait,
is
back up. That was the response email?
that is exactly what he meant. I remember it so clearly. I was at my dad's house and he said, "Oh, okay, what's your shoe size?" So after everything I just told you over email, this is me, this is what I've done. I've like all my accomplishments in track, even with school. I'm like already applied at URI, this, and that. And that's what you say? I was like, really? But I'm like, okay, maybe this is, I don't know any better. I mean, this is how college coaches talk to people. Like, I really had no idea because I had no one else helping me in that regard. My own coach, from high school wasn't helping me. My parents had no idea, what the process was supposed to look like. I mean, I was the first one in my family. I mean, my parents, my family, they're all immigrants. I'm the first one in my family to, I mean, not the first to go to college, but the first to do a college sport, So no one knew the process behind that. I've had people who have done sports before, but they did club sports. It's not the same process. But yeah, got to URI, and it was like I never really had a formal um introduction. It was like one day, I did the whole process for NCAA, got myself onboarded and stuff like that. But for some reason, I couldn't start training until 2 weeks after everyone else did due to I had an EKG that was done in my something was off, so they wouldn't let me like I wasn't cleared to train yet. But then when I started training, I'm like, okay, I'm already 2 weeks behind everyone else. I'm also a freshman. I'm looking up to these girls who are juniors, seniors. One was a fifth year also, because of injury at that point. I remember I'm like, okay, like my coach, he told me before, he was like, yeah, I saw you were at States in New England. You saw me, but you didn't say anything? So that was right there. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Two, since you saw me like runnings and all that, the first thing you do is put me in the fastest training group. The first thing you do, I'm like, I would have rather been with the other freshmen who were on the team also. I feel like that would have, you know, been that. But if you're gonna bring me on the team because I reached out to you and you put me in the fastest training group, I was like, I feel like you have a little too high of an expectation for me, and I think it scared me actually. But I tried my best. I did my best. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna prove to them. Put me in the fastest group. I'm gonna prove to them that I'm gonna keep up with these girls and stuff like that. And I think I'm pretty sure I did because I knew I was a very hard worker. I'm like, when it comes to my sport, I'm going to give it all I got. Done had multiple practices where I'm crying throughout the whole thing, so I'm in pain for my shin splints. But I'm like, I want this more than the pain is hurting me. So I remember I'm like really putting my all. I think some practices I didn't do my best because I was tired or, things like that. I couldn't keep up with the girls. So it kind of, mentally it's, putting myself down. And I actually remember, I think this was my third week into training, and I was in the hallway in my dorm. And it was this moment that I realized, like, wow, track is actually taking a toll on my mental already. 3 weeks into training in college. And I remember I'm on the phone with my mom, I'm crying. I'm just like, I don't deserve to be here, yada, yada, yada. I feel like they don't want me to be here. If they really wanted me to be here, they would have contacted me and want to recruit me to come to URI, but they didn't do that. Why am I here? They don't act like they want me here. I'm not doing, what they're expecting me to do. I feel like a failure already. It's only my third week here, things like that. Like, I was a walk-on. I wasn't on scholarship or anything like that. So it's like, I'm already, already knowing that you have walk-ons and scholarship people, you already feel already different. You're like, okay, I'm only here because they were nice enough to let me on the team. That's really what I felt like for so long. I'm like, was it because you pitied me that you brought me on the team because you felt bad, so you brought me on the team? Like, why did you really want me on the team? Like, I feel like to this day, I've never contributed really anything athletically to the team. So to this day, like, why did they even take me on? But as a 18-year-old freshman, her first few weeks in college and freedom and all that stuff, and she's already having a mental breakdown that my team doesn't want me. I'm not good enough for my own team. Like, that was, to me, that was like the start of like the rest of my track career. And I feel like that kind of set the tone for the rest of it. As much as I didn't want it to, that's kind of what happened. And my coaches didn't help either. It was, I wanted to have coaches who were like, no, I'm going to help you. I see the potential in you. We're going to work towards that. My coaches were never like that. Like, I want my coaches to be transparent and tell me how it is. Well, did I have a bad race? You had a sucky race, but you can do better next time. No, it was like, oh, it was okay. You know, it was fine. Stop being around the bush. Stop sugarcoating it. Like, but yeah, that's kind of how it happened. And, again, as a freshman, I was not confident. I was so confident throughout high school. Once freshman year hit, I lost all that. That's like out the window. Doesn't exist. I had my first meet. I competed unattached actually. That I feel like that also put me in a worse mental space. So I'm like, okay, I'm not even good enough to compete with my team with the uniform on. That's what it felt like. I had to go to Brown University with the throwers. Usually the throwers only go to Brown for the first meet of the season. Went with the throwers to Brown, but I had to drive there myself. I couldn't even ride with the team. Had to drive there myself. I had on my You're Right track and field t-shirt. It was one that I bought. It couldn't be a team issue gear. It had to be something I bought myself, which is also kind of sickening. Competed. It wasn't like, the best. This is my first college race ever. I'm not even with my coaches. I don't have my teammates. My dad was there. The throwers are there, but I don't know the throwers. We don't train together. So I'm just it's my first college meet by myself. And I remember I ran the 60-meter hurdles and did the 300. I think the 300 was like a regular time, maybe like 43 something. And also Brown's track is not. It was not. It's not a great track to even practice on alone. I don't know why they didn't have meets over there. But I remember I ran a 300. I think I won my heat. I could be wrong. I think I won my heat in like 43. And the hurdles, I did not do great in the hurdles. I think, again, this is the one race I was really worried about because I'm like, okay, I know my 3-step is not really there yet, which is, again, I knew my coach was going to help me with that, but you threw me into my first race and I'm like running like a high schooler still. So it's just like like, I would say the freshman year of training was just, it did not paint a good picture for me for the rest of my career at college. So
So first off, going back, right, even all the way back to how your coach responded, right, saying, do you get an email? And, for this is definitely evident in basketball as well, I would assume in other sports. When you're going through college recruiting and you're not, you know, and you're in high school, even when you stand out, um, if you're not at a certain school or you don't have certain coaches or whatever the
yeah,
case may be, you could go and dominate. And if you don't have this right people around you, it will be harder. You'll struggle to kind of get the college that you should be getting or that you would expect to be getting.
yeah,
So then on top of that, to then when you do get the opportunity, right, they didn't necessarily deal with you how they should have. or they kind of, you know, did it halfway, I know for me that would be demoralizing. And, you know, you went in already starting off fighting an uphill battle, which is not fair at all. But, you know, unfortunately for you, that was your reality. And going in, you know, feeling like you're sometimes I'm sure by yourself, fending for yourself as you're going to these meets, as you're having, you know, you're starting to have some of these opportunities to go and showcase what you can do at a meet, but you got thrown into the wolves very quickly. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that was definitely a big hurdle to go and overcome. Just in general, just to start off your college journey as an athlete. All right. Now,
Yeah.
I know you mentioned kind of talking to your mom about your struggles and everything. How did what was happening on the track affect what was going on just in your transition to college and into your transition from, you know, just everyday life at home versus everyday life on campus every day? When you're going and you're having those track practices and things aren't always going the best, and you're having to deal with the coach doing this or saying that, and then rather than going home to your parents and talking about it to somebody that's cared for you your whole life, you have to go back to your dorm room.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Honestly, not as bad as I thought. Like, granted, I'm native Rhode Islander, so my house was only 45 minutes away. So if I really need to go home, I could also just take the drive. But I don't know. With my mom and I are also like best friends. Like, I'm an only child. She is growing up. My parents are divorced. She's my primary parent, basically. And so after every day, after classes, after practice, I'm always on the phone with my mom. Always. Sometimes up to 2 times a day. Not too much. Up to 2 times, usually once a day. So whenever I left practice, she was the first thing to call all the time. As I'm leaving the facility, the phone's already ringing to call my mom or FaceTime her, whatever it is. And I remember, um, as long as I can talk to my mom about it, I would be fine. And at the same time, my freshman year, um, I mean, it was now think about it, it was kind of weird because I wasn't close with my teammates. Really, I knew I was very quiet. Like I knew back then that well, I didn't know I had social anxiety. I know that now, but I'm diagnosed. Back then I wasn't comfortable with just going up talking to new people and as that. Like it was kind of like people had to come to me, and then little by little, I would open up. But because of that, I didn't really become friends with my teammates until like mid-year, maybe close to spring term. Um, but yeah, it was really just my mom, and then I would go back to my dorm, and I was actually dorming with my cousin. And we also went to the same high school as well. We graduated together and everything. So it was like she did track, but she no, not college track, but she at least understood track and the process of it and everything. So I could at least talk to her about it. But the best person was really my mom or my dad, but really just my mom. Um, but it wasn't that bad now that I think about it. Like, as long as I could talk to her, I would be fine. That was really the case. Granted, as time went on, it's like I still think about these things in my head, and I don't want to keep bringing the same issue to her over and over and over again. So it's kind of like got to the point where I kind of just dealt with it myself. There wasn't someone else, again, unless it was my mom, that I really talked to about this, that I can remember until, I got older and, more comfortable talking to people, finally got diagnosed, able to talk to more people. Like, I know you know about it. My family and friends didn't know about it. But yeah, back then it was really just my mom or myself. That's really kind of who it felt like who would actually understand. But granted, you will only understand yourself best, you know? So, but yeah, it was, yeah, it's kind of how it was at that moment, I'd say.
So, and then going on with that, you talked about a little bit what you're going through physically, right? Shin splints, dealing with that throughout your season, having a whole year where the trainers are telling you just to ice it, which is kind of crazy because you know, ice is great. It's great for maintenance, but it doesn't necessarily fix everything at the end of the
Exactly.
day.
It's not a
Uh,
cure.
yeah, it's not a cure. And yeah, so you're dealing with all of that freshman year, going into sophomore year as you go and you continue your career at Rhode Island, as a track athlete, right? How would you say that you grew on and off the track? And, you know, what things progressed upwards in a good way, what things progressed negatively. You know, where did you go after taking off from that platform of freshman year? What was it like for you?
See, I feel like honestly there wasn't really much change. I don't even I can't remember if I even trained that summer. Maybe I tried to. But obviously it's for me personally, I know that I do better if I have a group training, like an actual I'm so used to having a team and a coach that for me to do by myself, that's like by myself. Like I don't have the motivation to do that. So I think it was also a while for me to get used to the fact that I have to train over the summer. So I think that first summer I didn't train at all. Probably even if I did, bare minimum. But then going back to school, I was like, okay, I'm ready for this, yada yada. I think I started doing some training like while school started, but practice didn't start yet. I tried going out for some runs, things like that. Try to get prepped. So I usually know when we start it's mostly like endurance workouts that we're doing when we first start for preseason. But I remember I'm not gonna lie, that fall semester, my sophomore year, is pretty foggy just because mentally I knew I was going through depression. I went through a breakup and it felt like I lost my best friend, but I knew it had to be done. Um, and I think at the time I was also rooming, I was staying in Eddie, which was one of the 10 suites, right? So I'm staying with like five of my other teammates, like a few other pink sisters, and then one random person. That's really it. But it was majority my teammates. Um, in a way, I think it did help me get to know them better for sure. Granted, we're all the same year and stuff like that, but no one knew what was going on with me. And I wasn't really one to share either, but um, it kind of felt like that term semester was just kind of on a continuous loop. Like it was the same thing every single day. For me, again, that's with depression, but it was the same thing every single day. I think that what I do know is that when I did go to practice, that was the only time of day where I was not thinking about my depression and whatever was causing it and things like that. Like I actually used practice as, a way to just let it kind of let loose, let it out. It just felt like it didn't feel like I was really training for anything. It just felt like it was helping with my depression, with my mental health at that point. Um, but yeah, that first time I can't remember a lot, which is kind of weird. But then yeah, second term started, and COVID. I mean, was it? I remember February hearing about COVID, and then March came, went home for spring break, and that was really it. But that fall semester, yeah, I think it was really just me training. I don't even remember if I competed like that term, because usually we would start like January around J term. Um, but yeah, it was just like a continuous loop. But I think for sure, like that's when I realized my mental health definitely can overpower a lot of stuff. Like at that time, I didn't really think that I had mental health problems or whatever it was. I didn't know that I had depression till like December of that term. I was like, I think I have this, but I'm not sure. I'm like, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to diagnose myself. Um, yeah, I eventually told someone actually on my track team who was on the men's team. I don't think he actually really cared, but it kind of helped me to be like, okay, I have this, I think. I finally told someone, and now I'm about to, I can address it. And when I came back, spring term, actually, it was like, it was gone. I remember New Year's came around, I cut my hair. Maybe it was that. I don't know. But cut my hair and it was gone. I'm like, okay, great. I feel fine now. And then I just feel like maybe that indoor season was so short that it was like, I can't even remember. Like,
It's kind of like it just happened, and
yeah,
it
like
was
I
kind of
don't think
gone.
anything crazy about that season. It was almost like we knew COVID was going to happen, so it's like I didn't even think much into that season. That's kind of what it felt like. But yeah, that definitely my mental health kind of overpowered anything else that I was doing. Like I was just still doing school, still doing track practice, but it was just a continuous loop every single day. It didn't feel like anything was getting better or getting worse. It was just like all this stagnant. That's really what it was.
So one, just dealing with depression, dealing with down days as you're going through your journey as, an athlete, especially in college, is a super, super, super big deal. And honestly, the fact that you were able to go and talk to somebody about it and tell someone even, whether they cared or not, I feel like what it sounds like is that kind of helped you find your voice in terms of dealing with it. And just in general, that's a really, really big step because I know for me, especially when I had broken my arm, my junior high school,
Yeah.
I would have days where I wouldn't want to leave my room. I'd just be down for whatever reason. There were just certain things when it came to that time and that injury that kind of just, you know, had me in a situation where there were certain days where I felt like I lost my purpose, where I
Yeah,
couldn't do what I loved, or I was just being restricted and I couldn't really do anything about it. It was out of my control.
yeah,
Um, and, like you said, you were kind of able to dig yourself out of that hole one way or another. Now, with track, right? Basketball, it's a team sport where just about every single aspect of it is team, right? You're gonna have 5 guys on the court at all times. You're gonna have a whole bunch of guys that are either gonna give you energy, suck away energy, all of that. Um, and, even when you have somebody that you may be competing with for a spot every single day in practice, when it comes to game day, you're on the same team.
yeah.
So, like each other or not, you gotta figure it out to make sure you go get that win. Track
Mhm.
is a lot different,
Yeah.
right? You're on a team full of individuals that are sometimes teammates due to a relay or when it comes to the point totals at the end of the meet or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
Um, Even going back to your freshman year, you talked about how your coach went and threw you in the top group when training, all the way to then going into sophomore year, junior year, all of that, rooming with your teammates. What was the dynamic like for you in the aspect of team? Because I know for track, it's like you go and you could do your event and then you go and cheer on your team for the rest of the time, but one way or another, regardless, y'all are together, but also on your own at the same time. What was that dynamic like for you at
Um, so I think I was kind of used to it already, like from high school. Like, for example, I know, granted, high school teams aren't as set up as college teams. So granted, you have people of different abilities on your high school team. I knew I not saying conceitedly, but like I knew I was the best athlete on my team in high school. We know that. But it's like I would still cheer on my teammates even if they weren't the best, if they had some iffy times, whatever. I was still cheering them on because I'm like, hey, you're on my team. Like that's how I saw it. But I also knew that there would be some meets that I would be competing at that they wouldn't be at because they wouldn't be able to make it. So it's like as the season went on, it was like less and less people to the point where I think in New England's what I think 5 of us competed total, just 5 of us compared to a team of 30 girls from the beginning of the season. It's it narrows down. So it's like, you have a team, but by the end of the season, it's like, okay, my team is really my relay team. That's what it is. Uh, When it comes to college, granted, we know we're all a team, we're all here for a reason, or we're supposed to feel like we're here for a reason, at least. Was it? I automatically, at least at URI, some programs they, mix the boys and girls teams together. Like, oh, it's one big team with coaches. Ours was women's team and the men's team. So
you?
automatically there's that split. So granted, I'm in a team of 50 girls, including myself. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, if you ask me. So granted, girls will be girls. There's already friend groups and cliques in the group and things like that. Like I remember once I went to go visit practice for the first time, like before I was even cleared. I remember there was one girl who to this day I'm friends with. Like she was sitting, I think she was injured, but she was sitting and she was like, "Oh, hi. Like, what's your name?" "I'm Hasna." "Oh, I'm Gabby. Nice to meet you. Are you on the team?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, great." But it was like a nice little quick talk. Until this day, I'm friends with Gabby, my fellow Gemini girl. I love her. So, but it's like we didn't become friends until my junior year, actually. Um, but like she was like the only one that actually welcomed me with warm, open words on the team. But everyone else, like the seniors on the team, like I would expect them to be like, "Oh, hey, like, I'm this person. What's your name? Welcome here. Like, if you need any help, ask me, blah, blah." Like, they're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I'm this person. I'm that person." But it's like, it wasn't really too welcoming. It's like, I felt more welcomed by my other fellow freshmen, when I was a freshman. And actually, throughout that first year, the only, like, close people I had on the team was a sophomore named Kayla, love her to death. And then, Carlicia, she's a senior. Was it? They're the only other two. Like, we had I think in my class alone, we had, a few people of color in my class, and we had I think my class was the one class that had the most people of color come in. But aside from us, it was only 2 other Black girls on the team, which is Carlisha and Kayla. So I lied, Gabby was too, but I wasn't close to Gabby yet, but Carlisha and Kayla, I was always with them. I come to practice, "Oh, hi, Carl. Hi, Kayla," talking to them, and they were, like, kinda my safe space when I went to practice. Like, And actually, Kayla became like I almost used to call her mom at this point because if I ever had an issue with anything, even if it wasn't track related, I'll be like, Kayla, like tell her like about it. What do you think? And she was always the wisest words you could ever hear. I'm just like, this is why I go to you for things because you always say the right thing, but you always make sure I know what's right from wrong and things like that. But that's kind of how it was my freshman year, and it wasn't until my sophomore year I was trying to be more um more social with my other teammates, especially the ones I did live with. You live with them, you're gonna be close with them. So it was kind of like I already live with them. I already know, their schedules and stuff like that. So it's like we were already cool. But would I say feel like a team? Not necessarily. Like sometimes yes, sometimes no. But of course things happen between girls, and they go on vacation, and then this happens and that happens. Friendships break apart. Oh, I don't like her. I'm not gonna talk to her. But I look at her. If I'm gonna talk to her, I'm gonna talk about that one behind my back. Like I'm personally, I'm not that kind of person. I would always stay away from that. So once I saw, I'm like, okay, I backed up. I'm like, I'm not gonna talk. Like I told myself, I'm not gonna talk about other people. I'm not gonna say whatever I think because it's not my place. I don't wanna be a part of that. Um, so it wasn't really like I don't want to say I had to have friends on a team to have a team, but it kind of felt like for me to be more part of the team, I had to have friends on the team. So, I was close to them, but I think it was that year, that's when I started getting closer to Trinity. Trinity, I consider now to be my best friend. That's my sister from another mister and mother, my Brooklyn sister, everything. People would say, like, you guys are like sisters. People think we're sisters when we're out together. We're the same height, same body, everything. It's like me and her were like hip to hip, especially starting junior year. Even with COVID, we're hip to hip. But yeah, she was kind of someone that you know, she I would say one of the best athletes we had on team throughout all 5 years there. She was amazing. And, she was I was not gonna I think she was kind of also ostracized, and not saying I was, but I think some of the girls in our class, the ones who we lived with, kinda ostracized her because, they're saying, "Oh, she's weird and this is not," and she was not at all. Like,
What
if you know Trinity, she's one of the sweetest people you know in the world, and she will tell you how it is, but with respect. She will always come with respect. And so it was kinda like, I heard what the girls were saying about her, I'm like, "I don't like this." I told her what they were saying, blah, 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 'cause I'm like, I would hate for someone to hide that from me too, you know? So me and her kinda bonded little by little over the course of that year until COVID happened, of course. Um and honestly, she kind of became my team. That's kind of what it was. And then, it wasn't really until I would say my junior year, like when we came back, when we were practicing with masks and whatnot, that's when, my other friend Amaya came in onto the team. And then I had Jenny on the team. So I finally had some people that I knew from before, and some people that I'm like, hey, like, I'll help you because blah, blah, blah. Like, I know it's not a lot of people of color on the team, but, hey, like, we know how it is. Like, we can help you navigate it. But that's kind of how it started, like, with similarities. But it didn't really, to me, it didn't feel like a team until, like, my junior year, which is kind of weird because I was during COVID. So it was, again, a team full of girls. It's not easy. I don't think it'll ever be easy. And again, coaches will never, you don't see them helping us with anything. But the amount of things I've seen with the team, just us being girls, is just like, you have so many cliques. It's like, you're supposed to be a team. It was a big issue during my 5th year when I was a captain. We're supposed to be a team. Why are you bullying your teammate? To the point where she had to transfer to another school. Like, that's a huge issue. But then you look at the coaches. What did the coaches do? Oh no, like, why she, like she shouldn't feel like that. Blah blah. The girls don't want to talk about this. She came to you saying she was bullied, and that's your response. But it's like that kind of comes to show that it was never really a team. You don't treat the coaches alone don't treat the team like a team. So how are the athletes supposed to treat like a team? You know? But yeah, so that's yeah.
that's that's kind of a very messed up dynamic. Like
Mhm.
you got a lot of people split, a lot of different cliques. I know in basketball, right, you got a team of anywhere in college, anywhere from really 13 to all the way up to 18 possibly guys
Yeah.
in the locker room. And even in that situation, it's kind of difficult sometimes for everybody to come together, be on one accord at times, because it really only takes, you know, one person to throw things off
Yeah.
and get things out the way. You have a cancer in the locker room, and cancer is cancer, it spreads. So the fact that you have 50 different people on the team, you got cliques, you're walking in with a certain um situation that people are dealing with it in a certain way. Even coming in, you got seniors who are supposed to be the leaders, who are supposed to welcome you in, who are supposed to kind of show you the ropes. And that's not really what happened. They kind of just stayed to themselves. That's a tough dynamic to go into and
Yeah.
just to be in general.
Hmm.
Which honestly isn't fair at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
It's I will never talk bad about a place, but I'll always be honest with the people who want to go there. Whenever we had recruits, I would always tell them the truth. It's a great place to be, but there are better places. Again, I'm not gonna talk bad about URI because I don't want to have that. But I had to be truthful. I didn't want people coming to the school not knowing, what was going on with the team already. I don't
Mhm.
want you to come on a corrupt team. I know you have a lot of potential. Are you sure you want to come here? You know, it's aside from just the team for the coaches too. But it was like I want the best for everyone. I told girls before, like, oh, you have an offer from this school. Honestly, from what I've seen from competing and stuff like that, I already know what your answer should be. It's like, but granted, it's like you don't really have anyone giving you that insight unless you go on a visit and things like that. Because let's say I'm a junior, I've been to meet enough meets to be like, okay, I've seen this team, I've seen this team. I want to be on that team because look at them, they look awesome. They're all together, they're cheering on each other, they have a chant and blah blah blah. Our team looks so broken. Like, our team looks so broken that it's like, are we even a team? It's like you had URI scattered all over the place, but it's like if you had a race going on, you had the entire UMass team right there cheering on their people. That's a team. That's the team I would want to be on. The team I was on, it's like we only came together when it mattered most, which were A10s.
And even
That's the first thing.
going back to when you recruit and you go on those visits, even when you go on visits, it's set up for you to see all the best parts, to see
Yeah,
the
exactly. They
best
want
possible
you to see
representation of
the
what you're
best of it.
going into, right? I still remember, now mind you, right, Coach Archie Miller was my coach my freshman year, and
Mm,
me and him, we managed to have a good relationship and everything. And I remember, going in, people were like, "All right, like just know he's a hard coach, right?"
mhm.
And I guess that was kind of like the nice way of saying it, that, that's the nicer version of what they were saying of how hard he was as a coach. Like they're giving me expectations. I had a friend that used to play at Dayton that was there, I think the year that Archie did, like his last year, the year after he was there.
Yeah,
And he was basically just telling me, like, prepare yourself because this guy doesn't play.
yeah,
So going in, I go on my visit to Rhode Island. I'm excited. It's a great visit. I go in my workout that I do, and I'm shooting the ball pretty well, but I'm tired and all these different things, and I'm trying to push myself. And Archie and the rest of the coaching staff are being encouraging, and I missed 2, 3 shots in a row. Just keep shooting, Lou. You got it. You're good. Keep shooting. But by the time you're in the middle of the season, you go and you're in practice, and you're playing pickup, or you're playing and getting into plays and everything. You miss 3 threes in a row. They might stop and be like, "Hey, dude, what's wrong with you?" Like
yeah,
they're
yeah,
gonna get on you. And that's somewhat the business side of it because at the end of the day, I had to get a little bit of perspective to kind of say like, okay, you know, if I don't go and make my shots and do my job, then that's an automatic reflection on him and his job, right? And I understood that him coaching hard was just his way of that's just how he was. He was a very intense person. But at the very least, at least on the court, he showed that he cared through that, right? Versus being in a situation kind of like you said, where right? It didn't feel like you were getting effort from your coaches. That's a different situation. That's really tough to kind of go through and navigate through. Um, so of course, as time went on for you, right, you get through your sophomore year, you get through your junior year, get to your senior year. And that was my freshman year, I want to say, I believe,
my
right?
5th year was your freshman
So
year.
your fifth year was my freshman year. Okay, so then you get to your senior year. All right, get to oh, you know what? You know who you met your senior year? You met Abdul your senior year.
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Abdul your senior year, who I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for Abdul. So shout out to Dude.
Yeah. B and P. And P.
And P. Shout out to P too. Those are always gonna be my guys. You get through all of this hardship, you get through all of these, aches and pains when it comes to on the track, while also, of course, managing a social life, managing, going to get your business degree and
Mhm.
everything, which had to be tough, right? Despite, from what I seen when I had met you later on down the line, the type of person you were, the way that you carried yourself, the way that you dealt with hardship, the way that you dealt with tough situations, you know, it almost seemed like you would be unfazed a lot of the time, right? Would you say that kind of what you went through throughout your whole college career, when you got to the end, that kind of prepared you for, all right, I'm going through a tough moment here, I'm going through a tough time there. Would you say that your hardships prepared you for that, or you kind of just, faked it till you made it?
Hmm. That's a good question. I never thought about that.
That's kind of my job. I'm supposed to make you think.
I think maybe it was a mix of both. Well, I would say there were times where maybe it felt like I was faking it till I make it, but then it was no, actually, I think you're right. I think those hardships may have prepared me, but I also think it was, other factors like, my mental health and getting diagnosed with social anxiety. Those also kind of came to play. So it's kind of hard to say if like those hardships from track specifically helped me with other things. Um, but what I will say, at least from doing track and knowing that, the experience I had with my coach and everything, it did teach me, what I did want and what I did not want. At least when it came to possibly other coaches or possibly, other people, or even in, the business world, and, academic world, what do I want? What do I not want? I don't want people to sugarcoat things. Tell me how it is so I know if I need to improve or not. It's like, I'm trying to think of an example and I can't think of an example. But it's just like I know my coaches use to sugarcoat stuff. I don't like that. I want you to tell me how it is. I used to tell people like I think towards the end of school, I want you to be blunt with me. You've probably heard me say that before too. I want you to be blunt with me because I don't want you to hide things from me. If there's a problem, just say it. I don't want to be dwelling on it. I don't want to be thinking, overthinking what could it be? What is it? What did I do? What did I not do? Things like that. Um, but I guess you could say in a way it prepared me probably more for like work ethic things. I'd say especially had my first job out of school, like work ethic. It was like I was always a good person when it came to work ethics. I knew I wanted to get things done. I knew even if I didn't want to do it, I had to do it for my job, things like that. Um but I guess you could say when it came to say people getting mad, like say if my coaches got mad at us, it was but that for me it kind of also falls into my personal life with things I've dealt with in the past too. So it's kind of hard to say like what was what, but I guess it kind of showed me that I do have more emotion than I thought I did. Because when it came to track, I mean, I've to this day I'm very passionate about it. But obviously, when you're doing a sport, you feel it firsthand. I would say, in a way, I guess you could say it did prepare me, for things where I'm so passionate about, and for that passion to break your own heart, kind of like that's one of the most painful things you can go through, aside from like breakup and stuff like that. But I would say it did prepare me for, you could say, rejections in the future. Like, I'm like, okay, my own sport, didn't love me back. And so like, if I come across situations similar to that where something doesn't love me back or what I'm passionate about doesn't work out, it is what it is. And it kind of got to the point where I'm like, things happen when they're meant to happen. If things don't happen, they're not meant to happen. And if things happen, they happen when it's time for it to happen. And I kind of just tell myself, kind of just go with the flow. That's kind of what it was. I would say I have a little motto. I can't say it. I'm not gonna say it because it involves cuss words. It's a two-word phrase that I say. To me, it's just like going with the flow because at the end of the day, what can I really do? I can only control what I can control, and I can control outside factors. I can only control how I react to those outside factors. You know, it kind of like it is what it is. It's like I can only do so much to help myself. I'm doing to help myself doesn't give back to me again, it's like, what can I do? I can only, again, help myself. I have coaches, but how much are they helping me? I gotta help myself. I have trainers, how much are they helping me? Gotta help myself. I
Right.
put onto KT tape. My trainers didn't help me do that. Like, I had things for myself, but I guess you could say it helps with, like, I would say mostly rejection in that case when it comes to things you really want, things you're really passionate about. So maybe to handle it better.
Mm. Okay. So going on from there, you went through, a lot. And of course, down the line, um, of course, you spoke on your mom being part of your support system. Um, and of course, like as time went on, your support system grew, right? Even in that last year that you had, I would say that me and Jason and Risa, right, we're together dang near every single day.
You guys were my support system that year,
Like
honestly.
we're going, and I knew at some point in my night, like I'm going to Rice's, I mean, not to Rice, the Hasna suite. Rice are probably going to be there. Jason probably going to come pull up. We're all just going like, all right, we're going to go and we're going to all sit down and we're going to do homework. Or we're just going to listen to music. Or we're going to go and, hey, you guys want to go get some food? Okay, let's go up top. Right. That
Yeah, it's
support
like probably all drive
system.
up together and flip to Emporium.
Right. That support system, even for me, right, my freshman year, because I'm new to college at that time, that was big for me. And that helped me because, I have my parents, but they're 8, 9 hours away. Right. My
Yeah.
sister is 3, 4 hours away, but haven't been in New York. So that was big. But the other thing that was big, and you know this, how big my faith is for me, I'd see God as the first in my support system, right?
Yes.
And my relationship with Jesus kind of just carrying me through all the way from my broken arm through all of college. For you,
Mm-hmm.
right? You had us, you had your mom, but what was that extra thing, that extra push, that extra, you know, entity that you felt pushed you through, right? If you had one, or was it more so just like you kind of just found a will to get through it all?
Um, so I'll say I know I'm not like I'm not like I wouldn't consider myself religious, but I do like I don't in a way that I don't follow a specific faith, but I do believe in God. Like I believe in that higher entity, and so do I pray as much as I want to? No, I should, but it's like there'll be times I don't know if I would tell you, Resty or Jason, but of course here and there I would pray to myself. Like if I was alone in my room, I would do those things. I think I started doing that actually during COVID, I would say. Or no, when I had depression, that's when I started praying. That's actually what helped me get through. And I knew till since that day that if I'm going through anything hard, that I can always pray because even if, some people may think, oh, you're just praying to nobody, blah, blah, blah. I know deep down that whoever I'm talking to is listening to me. And that makes me feel better that I know that they're listening to me. So I know God listens to me. He hears me whenever I need to talk to him and things like that. I'll apologize to God, be like, "I'm sorry I haven't prayed in so long," but, like, I'm that kind of person. I won't do it often. I would say, I think during my 5th year, like, I had you guys, had my mom, had my teammates and stuff like that. But I also think because I knew it was my last year, I think I was just like, this is the final push. Like I remember my dad was always telling me, Hassan, it's the final push, whether it was track, class, semester, whatever it is. This is my last year of technically I had graduated at that point, but my last year at URI and last year on the team and everything, last year dealing with anything URI related, really. And I remember telling myself, okay, this is the last push, last push. But I'm not gonna say I was doing all good. It wasn't all good, the whole year, the first term, first semester, I was on academic probation. Like I was like, I need to turn this around. My coaches found out. I'm like, yeah, but it got to the point where I did like I didn't even care anymore. I'm like, if they get mad at me for something, what are they gonna do? Kick me off the team? I'm almost there anyway. I'm about to be done in May. My last race was early May, and then I was done. But I would say it definitely God, because granted, there weren't I can think of any nights where it was like really hard for me. I think it was that year I started having a lot of more vertigo attacks. That's what it was. That really also hindered me when it came to track, and things like that. But um, honestly, I really think the majority of it was just you guys. If I'm being totally honest, like I looked forward every day. I had classes, I had practice, but every time I did practice, I knew you guys were gonna be in my suite all the time. There were times you were there before I came back to my suite, literally.
I just be like standing there. I just go knock on the door. Um, Became friends with your sweet mates, Sarah and Jaden. Um, Simone was like rarely ever there,
Yeah.
ever. So I'll go knock on the door, and one of them will open the door, and like I go and watch TV with them until you got there. You'd be like, "Lou, how are you already here?"
No, literally,
I
if we
I just
like,
got out
"Are
of
you back yet?
practice
Are you back yet?" I'm like, "Lou, you know, like, I'm the last thing to practice throughout the day. You know I get out of room at, like, 6 p.m. And by, like, 5, you're already in my suite." And I'm like, I
because of my okay, not by 5 because we had practice.
I'm by my jacket.
I would probably get back. I would go because I in my head I'm like, okay, I already went to the caf with my teammates. It's like you would take your time though, okay? Like it would be like 8 o'clock. Sometimes you
Okay,
wouldn't
you're
be back.
pushing it then. 8 o'clock's
Seven
capping.
thirty, 7:30.
Maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock, you're pushing it.
But I'm saying, like, I went to the caf with my teammates already. I'm already back. I took a shower, right? You know, I'm already knowing we're gonna go get some food. Like literally 30 minutes after you get back, I already called Jason. Okay. I know Risa's probably gonna come like 5 minutes after you get back. So there's no point in me hitting up Risa. So I'm just over at the door. And the other thing is we lived in the same dorm. So I was in the other side. I was in the next building in the same dorm. So I just go, I'm like, what's taking Hasna so long? Like we got things to do, food to get to, all of that. But
Yeah.
man, first
Yeah.
that was a fun year though. Y'all really became my family, like for real.
Mhm. Yep.
Um,
You and Raisa, was it technically Jason was a big brother. He got me by, like, 2 weeks. But but aside from me and him, like, you and Raisa were, like, my, like, well, you already knew because I told you and you or saw it too. Like, Raisa, she's been my little sister since she was born. I've known her parents since before she was born. I remember all that stuff. So to her have, like, my little sister at school with me, I'm like, this is great. This is amazing. This is a new thing. And then I met you, and you became my little brother. And I'm like, honestly, I've always wanted a little, like, this is not me just saying it just because it's a podcast. Like, I've told my dad, to my mom, I've always wanted a little brother. I was like, yeah, I want a sibling, but if I want a sibling, I want a brother. And little brother, little tall brother, literally. And I'm like, like, what's it? We've been saying, like, oh, this is my half brother, oh, it's my half sister, blah, blah, blah. Usually some people believed it.
but no, some people really did believe it, which was crazy to me because we don't look alike. But the only thing that could correlate would maybe be my height.
Yeah, so you really just
I
the
don't
height
know.
and the skin color. That was it.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
I'm like, that sounds a little, but
Mm. That's a little bit suspect.
no, but literally, like, you guys were like, we were all family. It was like, I saw you guys every single, if I didn't see you guys, it was weird. For a day,
Yeah,
it was like, if I
it
saw you
was
guys, like, out and about, actually, I'll never see Raisa out and about. I think I'll see Jason here and there. Like, you and Jason, I would see maybe in athletic buildings because, that, but it wasn't really the same time. Jason was always in the morning for practice. You were in, like, early afternoon, then I was, like, late afternoon. So it was like maybe we'd see each other, but it was like, it was always end of the day.
the
We'd come
only
back.
other time would usually be in the calf, maybe like
Oh,
throughout the
yeah.
day. That was kind of the only other time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
But
so
always next week. Yeah.
kind of moving on, right? Big support system, of course.
Mhm.
Like that family for us ended up being very important.
Yeah.
If you could go back and talk to that support system or just like say something that you appreciate or just have a message from that time through your college career, through your injuries and what you were dealing with the shin splints and all that, through all of that, what's something that you would tell your support system?
Simply thank you. But I just don't know how much else I could say thank you. It's like I am so grateful for the people including you, Raisa, Jason, whoever I have, starting my mom, whoever I've talked to about track throughout all these years, because you guys understand. Like, you have your basketball, Jason has football, Raisa has her music. That's what she's passionate, but she's not a sports girl, but she's passionate about it. So it's like, even if you understand the passion behind it. And so having you guys probably was the best thing I could have asked for throughout that year. That probably was God putting his hand in and being like, hey, this is your last year. I'm giving you your campus family. This is you guys. You guys are going to get through this year all together and blah, blah, blah. And looking back, I'm so grateful that I had that because it's like, after my, sophomore year going through depression, I'm like, I never want that to happen again. I don't know, let's say if I didn't have you guys, I don't know if that would have happened. Honestly, it might have happened because knowing it was my last year of doing track at URI, it was bittersweet. But I think all I can really say is that I'm so grateful to have you guys, that you guys are by my side, and vice versa. And, we went all through all these things together, dealing with not just, different sports, but also the same facilities, the same, some similar classes, and the same campus life and everything, It's it literally feels like a legit family. It's like blood don't mean anything at that point. Like, I also know that blood don't mean anything. You can be my blood cousin. I don't know who you are. But all I can really say is I'm so grateful to have you guys. And I couldn't have asked for better people in my life. Genuinely.
Yeah, I think I can speak for all of us when we say we're grateful for you too. Cause I mean, like I said, I had Naya, and Naya will forever and always be my built-in best friend, right? For me at Rhode Island, right? You were my second sister. So, for me that freshman year, you played a big role in my support system, kind of just on a day-to-day basis. And I feel like we all kind of gave each other that ability to go and just have relief from our day, and just go and be like, you know what? Even if we had a hard day and we're just going to do homework, like, we made it fun, right?
It's
We made it so that we get our mind off of whatever was stressing us out or making, that time more difficult for us.
mhm.
Um, Kind of as we start to wind down here and get near the end, um, you know, just want to touch on the fact that where you are now a little bit, being that you are now, have been, for a year, getting ready to go into your next year as a duck at Oregon, getting your master's degree, doing big things, and pursuing what you want to pursue, in your life, in just your field in terms of business and sports and everything, and being a woman in sports. What for you would you say through your whole journey, college, high school, hardships, struggles, what is one thing that you gained that you would not give back, that you joyfully take into your experiences at Oregon as you're continuing to pursue and be successful in your new endeavors?
My independence. Easy. My independence is a big thing. I've was it I'm told you before. Well, you already know I'm an only child. I don't have any half siblings, whatever it is. All my cousins are older than me. Other cousins lived overseas. So it's really me, myself. I had Rusty and Smina, but they're years younger than me. But through high school, I know I always want to be, I always want to be that person who could stand up and be like, hey, I know the answer. I want to be that person who's going to be like, hey, I'll be your friend. I see you're sitting by yourself and blah, blah, blah. All the things that I've witnessed throughout my life happen to me. I want to be that person for other people. But aside from that, it also made me into a stronger person and be able to do things for myself when I wanted, the way I wanted. If, when I was, going through hard moments, I'm like, what? I'll take myself out on a date. Went out to go get some breakfast, went to the seawall just to sit for a couple hours, listen to music, had a good time with myself. You know, was it things like on top of that, self-care, taking care of myself when I know I need to take care of myself. If it's really just like I said, just doing things when you want to, how you want to, whenever you want to. It's really just that. But, now looking at where I am now, I think like what, 5 years ago? 5 years ago, Hasna wouldn't imagine I'm at where I am right now. Like to say, oh, you're an Oregon Duck? What? Flew across the country by myself to go get my MBA in a state that I don't know anyone over there, in a
Mm,
place where like literally it was a brand new place. I don't know anyone in the state. The closest family I had was in LA. I was in LA for my first time, but I was like, I'm gonna go down there for Thanksgiving 'cause I don't know anyone else. Independently, I booked that trip, went down to LA for my first time. Wow, this is great. But the journey of also me going to Oregon, I feel like in a way, kinda, at least right now for me, it kinda just foreshadow what's the opposite of foreshadowing? It kinda like for me, it's kinda like
Reliving or opening up, kinda going to something without any, going into something new, not really with any idea, right? Just kind
Yeah.
of going in blind.
Yeah, it's kinda like for me, it's almost like a my journey going to Oregon is almost like a summary of my entire life, it feels like. It's like, I was scared to do all these things, and I finally, was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to this school across the country because I can, and because I'm gonna get my MBA in sports business, and I'm gonna go to the place where I know is gonna benefit me the most." Hayward Field is the mecca of track and field, in the United States, and probably even the world. And so for the fact that I go to school where it takes me 5 minutes to walk to that field is one of the best things I could ever imagine, to know that I could attend international huge USA championship meets over there and meet, you know, some of these great athletes that I've dreamt of like meeting. I've watched for years at the Olympics, to meet NFL players who are like, "Hey, like you're cool. What's your name?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is great." It's really just the whole independence aspect that I was able to do all this for myself. Granted, it's like I'm not able to do all of it for myself. Of course, needed help from parents and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be doing what I am without myself, obviously. I wouldn't be to Oregon if I thought, "Hey, let me apply to Oregon. Hey, I'm gonna go to Oregon, let me fly across the country." It was hard to do all those things, but it's so worth it in the end. And I know that in 10 months I graduate with my MBA, as a Black woman in sports, and I have the world at my fingertips. It just comes to show that Hasna back in high school would never imagine that she's gonna be where she is right now, or where she's gonna be next year. So it's kinda, wow, looking back and it's really making me emotional now. I'm like, "Wow, oh my goodness." Like, little Hassan would be so happy. She'd be like, "I wanna be just like her," and she's doing exactly that right now, or at least she's trying to the best of her ability. So, it's like, yeah, all these years is really just my independence that I value so much, to the point that it's gonna get me to do things, it's gonna get me to go places that I know I deserve to be, whether or not they want me there or not.
Hey, I mean, that's amazing. I know for a fact, my journey, if I told myself, well, if I told middle school me that I'd be where I was, I definitely wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Um, just in terms of what I can do, who I've become, even all the way down to the podcast. If I told younger me, hey, one day you're gonna go and you're gonna come up with an idea and you're gonna, have a podcast and you're gonna start it and you're gonna be doing all these different things and trying to impact and help people, I'd be like, okay, yeah, all right, bro.
Yeah.
Mm,
We'll see.
we'll see. At 21, you sure? Yeah, maybe later on. A podcast, huh? Right? And
Look at you
even
now.
even even high school me, right, would have been susceptible to it a little bit more, but he would have been like, no, 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 no. That's not gonna happen, you know?
Yeah.
And just looking at me now and the person that I am, or even looking at you and the person that you were, like when I was at Rhode Island, the person you were when I first met you when we got there, and we're, you know, outside with me and you, Dupe, Rice, and we're all talking till 3 in the morning, all the way till right the last time I'm leaving your room. The growth and the change that I kind of seen in you was immaculate, and I've only just seen that happen even more and more and more as you've gone into this journey while you're at Oregon. So it's really just been a beautiful thing to be able to be a part of your journey and just to watch. And it's kind of crazy. We've known each other for what, like 3, 4 years now, something like that.
Wait,
Three
you 20
years.
years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about to be
You came
three
to right,
years.
2022.
Yep, that's crazy,
And feels like I've known you for almost a lifetime, actually.
man.
Yeah.
You're getting old.
Don't start. I just turned 25 like a few months ago. 2 months ago.
Um, I
Listen,
don't
you're coming for
know.
22 in March. Your birthday's
I don't.
before mine.
I don't know. Like
And for me to even think about you at 22 is,
one more year, you're basically gonna be 30. But hey, you know what? Hey,
you
that's
better watch it. I just need to graduate my MBA first, and then we can talk about that in a few years.
okay. But as we get ready to close it out here, um, of course, this is Uncontainable by Lou Hutchinson. It is the podcast where we talk about the pain behind the passion and the triumph that comes from that. So, Hasna, right? What does it mean to you to be uncontainable?
Not hiding any part of yourself, letting your independence show through, and being able to not care what anyone else thinks about the passion that you want to go through with. Let that passion take you to places that you want to go. If it's going to bring you to a D1 school who may not treat you as well, you're doing something that you want to do at least, but you're following your passion. That's really it. And at the end of the day, that's what anyone and everyone should do to be happy.
You know, you're getting old, so you got to have some type of words of wisdom. You know what I mean?
Yes.
No, but for
Goodness.
real, thank you so much for joining me today, man. This is always a good time talking to you, but today this was so much fun.
It was.
So yeah, thank you for joining me, and for all of you guys watching, thank you for joining me today. Watching the episode. Once again, this is Uncontainable by Lou Hutchinson, and we'll get back to you with more next time.